So, for my bio or just some information about me is I went for my first 2 years Emory at Oxford, which is a little where Emory started, Emory University. If you're not familiar with it, it's a pretty famous college, private college in Atlanta area, and it started in Oxford, Georgia, not England. And so I went there for my first 2 years. Then I went from there to the university. Oh, and I was in Phi Theta Kappa there, which is an honorary society, as well as a social service sorority at that school. And then I went to the University of Georgia, where I graduated summa cum laude, which means top honors from. I think I might have spelled that wrong. Let's just take that out in case I did always spell summa cum laude wrong. Anyway, with a degree in agronomy in 1982, and I graduated from there Phi Beta Kappa, which is an honorary uh, organization as well. I graduated in agronomy because at the time I wanted to be a veterinarian, like James Herriot, British World War II veterinarian, and I loved animals. I did volunteer work at the Atlanta Humane Society, so I was headed down that track. I was offered in studying plant pathology, which is like the diseases of plants. I was offered a master's. Um, I was offered to be in the master, get my master's in that. But I turned it down because I didn't know it was actually a paid job. So I learned that later in life when I got my master's in French and was there a teaching assistant. However, I appreciate that. I wish, looking back, I definitely would have done that and would have continued on to veterinary medicine. But instead, I wanted to start working after college, and so I began working at Tallulah Falls School, which is a boarding school in North Georgia. So at Tallulah Falls School and at a boarding school in North Georgia until my mother was diagnosed with cancer. At which point I went back home to take care of my mom. While I was there, taking care of her in Atlanta, I did begin an MBA in international business and worked part time at a commercial real estate company. Um, upon starting my MBA, I was taking business French courses with the director of French education, and he encouraged me to switch to that. So I did, and began teaching French, and then stopped to have children, where I homeschooled them. And I also have always been interested in business development of ideas, uh, making some mistakes on how I proceeded with that. Two products that I worked on were, one was a modest fashion line for young girls called La Mode Modeste, is what I called it, the modest fashions for girls. And so I sewed some things. I did actually sell one, but I wasn't really sure how to market it, but it still shows an entrepreneurial kind of spirit. In addition, I came up with an idea of marketing baby food uh, that actually I submitted, not knowing any better, not getting it patented and doing all that. I submitted the idea to a major baby food company, and they wrote me back and said, thanks for the idea, basically. And right after that is when they started selling chicken and apples and combining protein with fruit for baby food. So, at any rate, I learned a few things about that, and then I started homeschooling, and my ideas were more related to education. In my research for education, um, what I did was, I forgot, I also taught community college and adults at Oglethorpe University. I pretty much homeschooled on a zero budget because once you do all the free things, there's not really a lot of time to do things that cost money. I did create a unique curriculum that ended up with various strategies, which now I use in the curriculums that I create now. Um, and I provide them free on a YouTube channel. Just simple strategies, just keep it simple, keep the directions simple, but increase the content. That's the level of material that you study. So I offer this free curriculum channel that I'm growing right now. And I've also done work on another note in domestic violence, religious abuse, and adult, like elder abuse. Done some counseling as well as suicide counseling and addiction as well, with a very different twist on current strategies for dealing with these things. In addition, I'm writing a book on strategies for women and hope to do public speaking with that as well, combining my education experience along with just strategies for all ages of women, how to be successful in your personal life and in your career. I also add some funny stories to that, some dark humor because it's through tragedy, and a lot of these concepts are built just from my observations and mistakes, successes, a combination in hopes of helping encouraging other women. So I did a lot of research because we had 9 children that I homeschooled, and I did a lot of research on that and studied frequently, because when you homeschool, you have to be able to know a lot so that you can, like, I would tell history stories with Legos while my children were eating dinner. For instance, there's a lot that's helpful for your children if you just already know it. You can talk about it. So I did a lot of studying, which resulted in my amazing kids getting into Georgia Perimeter College early. And so they did an article on us with that and the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. And they featured me as a teacher, them as students taking college classes early. And that all happened really as a result of finances, because in Georgia, college is free. So the idea was, well, hey, y'all want to go to college early. And those who did, I was able to help them choose the necessary subjects to study and help them plan out a pathway to get a career early if they so chose. And that led us to get featured in the Georgia Perimeter College magazine about children going to college early. And it's interesting that right after that, there were all these early college academies that popped up. So I don't know if they're linked, but it seemed an interesting correlation. So those are some accomplishments. Then I went into the public schools. I taught in one of the county's districts in Georgia, where I created a behavioral system that was so fun that kids that weren't even mine, who were getting in trouble in the hallway, would come running down the hall to be in my classroom. And I can also speak about that and do professional development. And that way, one of my 3rd graders told me that it was so much fun to have me for a teacher that she wanted to fail third grade and not go into fourth grade, but be with me. They did end up learning a lot, so much that they showed a 70% increase because I also created a math curriculum that's so unique. I have not seen it before or since, but it resulted in a 70% growth in their math scores and standardized testing, and that got the School of Governors Award. My behavioral program was noticed so much that it became replicated. The administration decided to try to replicate it on a grade level scope. Then COVID came, and I started working in home for with a doctor's children for to be their homeschool teacher in their home, and I developed a unique curriculum for them that was COVID related. It was creative. I don't want to say everything it was, but I even contacted the county, and we were going to make a book, and it was right in line with what they wanted. They were actually going to publish the book. So usually that is what I do, is I just get really creative with whatever it is that I'm doing. I've had other jobs as well. Something else I did after that is I became director. So I was director of education for my own homeschool. I forgot to mention that as a result of those articles and getting notice, I did develop my own homeschool program. Also taught art and piano, and from there, after those things, I began working in foster homes and saw a need for an education program that really helps the traumatized mind. I haven't seen anything else like what I do, which is you can't just teach them academically. You have to address what they've gone through to be able to help them relax enough to use that part of their brain that can learn something academic. And then you have to, well, I'm not going to tell all the details of these things. These are just some things I offer, which would be and some of my accomplishments and what I can offer, which is a specialized curriculum. Also, for one of the foster schools, came up with the idea of a for-profit division of the education system, and that would also fund the on-site nonprofit school. And that was original. As far as I know, it's being successful. We got it accredited within under a year. And then I went on to help an international soccer, be the director of education at an international soccer company, and came up with ideas for unique and creative project, professional learning courses for the teachers. I turned around, I think, like at least 10 of the students, 10 out of 20, at least half of them were failing, and in 2 weeks I turned that around to they were all passing just by using my strategies, which are really just simple, common sense kind of strategies. But they work well and are effective. I've also started my own company. I have unique ideas. I have a completely unique idea for homeschoolers that I'm working on, that I've gotten in touch with some superintendents of districts, and so I'm working on that concept. I also mentioned here, I forgot to say it earlier, that my son was in Calculus 3 at age 14 and making an A. I don't think I'm on saying that. Our older children, our oldest daughter, was the earliest person to get admitted to nursing school. So these are the kinds of ideas that I come up with, and just a little bit about me, and look forward to working with your working with your children or being a part of their educational journey.